I wondered whether perhaps you, Leila, or anyone else on the panel could comment on this thought I've had sometimes that the aesthetic quality of craft is often in inverse proportion to the economic and technological development of the community that makes the craft. I'm thinking in the case of Canada that we have some very, very remote First Nations communities where they still make smoke-tanned caribou or moose hide jackets and moccasins, and they use porcupine quills to do the beadwork on it. But it's very, very labor-intensive. But as soon as those communities get connected to the roads and the electrical grid, those things disappear. So that seems to me a sort of, well, it's an ethical question. Why should these communities remain outside the mainstream economy? But is that an issue in India? Is there a worry that as the Indian economy globalizes and the electricity spreads everywhere and whatnot, that these very, very time-consuming, labor-intensive crafts are under some threat simply because of that development?
Yes, I think that's certainly true. It's partly because many crafts in India emerged because the communities were not able to actually join the kind of the market economy, and so they made things for their own homes, for their own wear, out of found materials, and actually, which was so beautiful and extraordinary. I mean, Kutch and the Northeast are still in that way. Communities decorate their homes, they make their own dowries, everything from a water utensil to the walls of their huts are beautifully decorated. But yes, as soon as modernity comes in, you have concrete houses, you have mill-made fabrics. And I think that's partly because of the kind of it's not so much even economic as the kind of social value that developed, so-called developed societies give to craftspeople. And it's not just that they don't earn the same, and of course they don't have provident funds, and they don't have pensions, and they don't have insurance, so there is a tendency to go to other occupations. But more than that, it's really the kind of social value that a craftsperson has in particularly urban Indian society. And an example I always give is that if an urban woman and her daughter came and told her that she was marrying a craftsperson, even if it was a master craftsman, award-winning craftsman, there would be shock and horror. But if the daughter came and said, oh, I'm marrying someone who's a sort of computer software programmer, I mean, even at quite a low level, he would be very acceptable. So I think, and most craftspeople, if you talk to them, this is what really makes them want to change over. It's not just that they don't earn the same. And they don't want their children to be these second-class citizens.
Can I add here something? Talked about this. Please. I mean, in the Northeast India, you have communities which, if you look at, are more American than Indian. I mean, they wear the garments, even their utensils at home, crockery, from crockery to their jeans and tops and shoes even, they all get them. And this has come about in just about 50 years after the coming of Christianity. And they want to look, even their hairstyles now, they don't keep their long hair. Hardly any person you'll find. The hairstyle has changed, the things that they need, their eating habits, all have gone. Only about a 70 or 80-year-old man would have, hiding from others, a glass of beer, rice beer. Even that they will not take because the Baptists are against, banned indigenous liquor. It's not just economy, because government of India is giving free, doles lots of money into for education and things like that. The intelligent ones come up to the main cities and go as far as right down to South India. They are that way they are not in the poverty belt like other tribals in other parts of India. but they have taken it. I mean, it's the conception. The worldview is changed, so naturally other things will follow. So just as to the sari, I mean, if I am a modern person, I am working in an office, so Sonia has said, you need to be free, your limbs have to be free, you have to run into a bus, you have to catch the metro. So a trouser or a salwar would help better than a sari. This will go here and there. So, I mean, that is why, depending on the times, I mean, you find, but there is a cultural change. I mean, the philosophy of life has changed. So economy and other things would follow. Here, I mean, they would rather look like, I'm sorry, I mean, as handsome Americans, the young men, than their native Naga, who used to once upon a time just wear a shawl and a small garment. Now, here you would not see them at all, only for a festive occasion once a year, with great difficulty when there is compulsion. They wear the traditional.
It's a slight shift from what we've been saying. Make a brief point about when you view things as production, whether it's weaving or making saris or crafts and so on. It's a slightly different view. I wanted to bring into focus the pleasure, the joy of making things with one's hands. And as an artist, even when I have options of replacing hand doing with more sort of mechanical devices, I realize I've tried them, but the pleasure of actually doing something with the hands. So I think part of the story, part of the loss that is occurring for all of us is the fact that we are losing the intelligence and the pleasure and the joy. And the hand and the brain in evolution, the brain became what it did because we were trying to pick up stones and hit deers or whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a strong connection. And so the loss of using hands in itself, I just wanted to bring
That's a very, very
that
important
point
point.
in.